ערב טוב, ערב נפלא לכולם. שלום, אנחנו מתחילים עם הוובינר המאוד מיוחד של דוקטור סטרנד, ממש עוד כמה רגעים. לפני שאנחנו מתחילים, אני רק רוצה לעשות איזושהי בדיקת שמיעה זריזה. בבקשה, כל מי ששומע אותי, שנדע שהכל עובד כמו שצריך ונוכל להתחיל. שוב, ערב טוב לכולם, ערב נפלא, אנחנו מאוד מתרגשים, אנחנו מתחילים עם הוובינר המאוד מיוחד עם דוקטור סטרנד, בדיוק עוד כמה רגעים. לפני שאנחנו מתחילים, אני רק מבקשת לעשות איזושהי בדיקת שמיעה זריזה. אנא מכם, כל מי ששומע אותנו, תכתבו בבקשה בהערות ששומעים. יש לכם בצד ימין קומנטס, אם אתם רואים, יש שם מקום שאתם יכולים להעיר. מי ששומע אותי שיכתוב בבקשה אם שומעים טוב. שומעים, נהדר. יופי, אז אנחנו מתחילים חברים, אנחנו מאוד מאוד מתרגשים מהערב המאוד מיוחד שמחכה לנו היום. לפני שאני מעבירה את השידור לדוקטור סטרנד, אני רוצה להתחיל עם כמה הודעות מנהלתיות, ברשותכם. ההודעה הראשונה לפני הכל, מי שלא רואה את השידור מצד שמאל, אתם אמורים לראות עכשיו שקופית שכתוב עליה רפואה תזונתית, דוקטור סטרנד, MD, זה מה שאתם אמורים לראות. הווידאו היה אמור כבר להתחיל. מי שלא רואה את השידור, נא לרענן את הדף. אתם יכולים לרענן את העמוד או על ידי לחיצה למקש הרפרש, רענן, או ללחוץ על F5. אוקיי? אז אם יש מישהו שלא רואה את השידור, נא לרענן את העמוד כדי להתחיל את השידור. נקודה שנייה וחשובה. השידור עצמו הולך להיות בשפה האנגלית, דוקטור סטרנד טרם למד עברית, ולכן הוא הולך לדבר באנגלית. המצגת עצמה היא בשפה העברית, ואנחנו הולכים לעשות תרגום סימולטני בצ'אט מצד ימין. זאת אומרת, איפה שאתם עכשיו בדיוק כותבים את כל ההערות שלכם, איפה שהקומנטס, שם הולך להיות תרגום סימולטני. אנחנו הולכים לכתוב כמו סאבטייטלס, כמו כתוביות. בזמן שדוקטור סטרנד מדבר, אנחנו נכתוב שם בעברית את התרגום. מי שצריך תרגום, שלא ישים את המסך במצב של מסך מלא, אוקיי? לא לעשות פול סקרין. כל שאר האנשים, מי שדובר אנגלית ומבין אנגלית, יכול כמובן לעשות פול סקרין ופשוט להקשיב לדוקטור סטרנד ולהסתכל על המצגת. מי שלא מבין אנגלית וצריך את התרגום לעברית, שלא יעשה פול סקרין, אוקיי? זו ההודעה השנייה. הודעה שלישית זה ברגע שדוקטור סטרנד מתחיל לדבר, ואנחנו מתחילים בעצם לרשום את התרגום בהערות, אנחנו מאוד מבקשים, אם אפשר, לא לכתוב הערות תוך כדי השידור. בסדר? פשוט בשביל לא להפריע לרצף של התרגום, בשביל אנשים שקוראים את התרגום, אם אפשר, לא לכתוב הערות בכלל בקומנטס. נקודה רביעית, זה שמיד בסיום הוובינר, דוקטור סטרנד הולך לענות על כמה שאלות, בסדר? מי שרוצה לשאול לדוקטור סטרנד שאלה, אנחנו מאוד מאוד מבקשים לא לעשות את זה באמצע השידור בבקשה, כפי שביקשנו, נא לא לכתוב הודעות והערות בזמן התרגום, בזמן השידור. ברגע שתסתיים המצגת של דוקטור סטרנד, הוא ייקח כמה שאלות שלכם ויענה בשמחה, ואז יהיה הזמן לכתוב בעצם את השאלות שלכם בהערות. והנקודה האחרונה, כל מי שירצה לשאול לדוקטור סטרנד שאלה בסיום השידור, צריך להיות מסוגל בעצם לרשום בקומנטס, ובשביל לרשום בקומנטס אתם צריכים להזדהות דרך רשת חברתית כלשהי, אוקיי? בין אם זה חשבון גוגל, פייסבוק, טוויטר, לינקדאין, לא משנה, אתם רק חייבים להזדהות באיזושהי צורה, ואז אתם יכולים לרשום בקומנטס את השאלות שלכם לדוקטור סטרנד, אוקיי? אז ככה, אלה היו כמה הודעות מנהלתיות, אני מסכמת שוב מאוד בקצרה. אחד, מי שלא רואה את העמוד, לא רואה שקופית שרשום ברפואה תזונתית, דוקטור סטרנד, MD, מוזמן לרענן את העמוד, אתם יכולים לרענן על ידי לחיצה על מקש הרפרש, רענן, או ללחוץ על F5. נקודה שנייה, מי שצריך את התרגום, שלא יעביר את המסך למצב של פול סקרין, שלא יעביר למסך מלא, כי התרגום הולך לרוץ בעצם בצד, בהערות, בקומנטס, מי שצריך את התרגום. נקודה שלישית, אנחנו מאוד מבקשים לא לכתוב הערות תוך כדי השידור בקומנטס, בשביל לא להפריע לרצף של התרגום. נקודה רביעית, בסיום הוובינר, דוקטור סטרנד יענה על השאלות שלכם, הוא ייקח כמה שאלות ויענה. אנחנו מאוד מבקשים לא לשאול את השאלות באמצע השידור, אלא להמתין לסיום, ואז הוא ישמח לענות על שאלות. מי שרוצה לשאול שאלה, בשביל לכתוב בקומנט, צריך בעצם להתחבר ולהזדהות דרך רשת חברתית כלשהי, חשבון גוגל, פייסבוק, טוויטר, לינקדאין וכולי, אוקיי? זהו, סיימנו עם ההערות המנהלתיות. אני רק אבקש לעשות בדיקת שמיעה זריזה, לראות שכל מי שנמצא באמת שומע אותי, אז כל מי ששומע רק שיכתוב בבקשה בהערה ששומעים, ואנחנו נתחיל.
Well, thank you very much for that introduction.
No,
I'm
sorry, Dr. Strand, I haven't introduced you, so can you give me 1 more minute? I'm just checking that they can all hear us.
Okay, sounds
okay,
good.
1 minute. Thank you. אוקיי, שומעים, מצוין, יפה. אז קודם כל, ברצוני לברך את כל מי שבחר לקחת חלק בסמינר המאוד מיוחד שאנחנו מקיימים כאן הערב. אני מאמינה שכל מי שנמצא בשידור הזה שם את הבריאות שלו במקום גבוה בסולם סדרי העדיפויות שלו, שהוא מעוניין לקבל ידע וכלים בנושא של בריאות טבעית בכלל ורפואה תזונתית בפרט, ומכיוון שזה באמת בכלל לא מובן מאליו, אני באמת מברכת את כל מי שבחר להיות כאן הערב. אז אנחנו זכינו לשמוע הערב מאדם מאוד מיוחד, בעל סיפור אישי ומקצועי מרתק, דוקטור סטרנד. דוקטור סטרנד הוא רופא ומדען בעל שם עולמי, הוא מחבר רב המחר, מה שהרופא שלך אינו יודע על רפואה תזונתית עלול להרוג אותך, וספרים רבים נוספים בתחום, והוא מרצה בינלאומי בתחום של רפואה תזונתית. דוקטור סטרנד הקדיש שנים רבות מחייו למחקר בנושא רפואה תזונתית, והוא מבסס את מה שאנחנו הולכים לשמוע ממנו הערב על למעלה מ-1,300 מחקרים קליניים שנעשו בנושא. דוקטור סטרנד נחשב היום לאחד מהמובילים בעולם בתחום זה, והוא אוטוריטה מקצועית מובילה בנושא. העבודה שלו בתחום מחוללת מהפכות גם בארצות הברית וגם בשאר העולם, ואני מאוד גאה ומתכבדת לארח אותו היום בוובינר ראשון מסוגו עבור תושבי ישראל. אז גבירותיי ורבותיי, אני גאה להציג דוקטור סטרנד. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to present to you Dr. Strand.
Well, thank you. Now I know my entry, and as you probably already realize, I don't understand what she's saying, but I'm sure it's all good. And I really want to share my enthusiasm to be able to speak to you tonight on nutritional medicine. I have a great fondness for the nation of Israel and the Jewish people, and I want to give you our support. Many of us in the United States significantly support the state of Israel and all your struggles, and our hearts with you. Now, everybody wonders, how does a medical physician ever get to the point where he starts recommending vitamins and nutritional supplements to his patients? Well, I have to say that it all begins with my wife. That's my conversion story. My wife is a horse trainer. We've been married 34 years. She suffers from an illness called chronic fatigue fibromyalgia. And she thought when she married a doctor that her health would improve. But sad to say, her health got worse year after year after year. And in 1995, she came down with a serious pneumonia that left her in a very serious chronic fatigue state. She was only able to get out of bed about 1 hour a day, and this went on month after month after month, in spite of seeing 4 different medical specialists who had placed her on 9 prescription medications, and she just wasn't getting better. And it was about that time a neighbor brought over some nutritional supplements and said, they help my husband, but I'd like you to try them to see if they help you. Well, my wife understood how I felt about supplements because in my training, I had been taught that you did not need any vitamins or nutritional supplements. All you needed to do was eat a healthy diet. And that's what I told my patients for over 20 years. In fact, I told them all vitamins did or supplements did was create expensive urine. So she knew my heart, but she asked when I came home that night if she could try these supplements. And I said, honey, you can try anything because we're not helping you. And there's nothing harder for a physician than to see their own spouse suffering and not being able to help them. Well, to my amazement, within weeks of taking these supplements, she was doing much, much better. And within a few months, she was better than she had been in years, and she was actually off all 9 prescription medications. So this caused me to really relook and rethink my attitude towards supplements. And in fact, I started to look at the medical literature. Had I been telling my patients the wrong thing for all these years, that there was no health benefits for taking supplements, and yet I'd seen it in my wife. And I looked at her and I just could not believe her improvement. And she has continued to improve year after year, and she is now back training her horses. She rides dressage to the international FEI level, and she rides and trains 2 or 3 horses a day and really has gotten her life back. Well, my research after that experience has led to the writing of 5 different books. One of those books, What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine, has actually been translated into Hebrew, and I will share that later in the webinar. But so the information I'm going to share with you now is just a highlight of what I learned studying the medical literature and trying to understand the difference between traditional medicine and what I had now learned was the way I was beginning to practice medicine. You see, physicians, we are basically disease and drug oriented. We spend all of our time pretty much treating critical advanced stages of disease. We really don't prevent anything. We just are so busy treating our patients who are sick and who are ill that we don't really know anything about preventive medicine. We are disease and drug oriented. And in fact, what we are even calling preventive medicine is simply the early detection of disease. So when I see a patient in my office that's coming in for a well physical, I do a history, I do a physical exam, I check the blood work and lab work. I might do a pap smear, a mammogram, or in my men, a PSA. But what am I doing? I am really looking for early disease. I want to find that silent high blood pressure or elevated blood sugar the patient is not aware of, or maybe an elevated cholesterol level. We might try to be finding early cancers just because of what I do. And if I find nothing in my patient, I would just tell them, you're healthy, and out the door they went because I could not find any disease. But what has happened during my research is now I realize that true preventive medicine, preventing disease and protecting your health, or possibly even regaining your health if you've lost it, is best done by equipping our body to fight off disease. What we understand now is that even though oxygen is necessary for life, it is also inherently dangerous for our existence. There's a dark side of oxygen that we call oxidative stress. In other words, as we utilize oxygen within the furnace of the cell to create energy in life itself, occasionally we create a charged oxygen molecule, which is called a free radical. It actually has an electrical charge and very rapid movement. And if this free radical is not readily neutralized by an antioxidant, which can render that free radical harmless, it can go on to damage the cell wall, vessel wall, fats, proteins, and even the DNA nucleus of the cell. And we refer to this process as oxidative stress. But what is really happening is we are basically rusting inside. So this same process that causes a cut apple to turn brown or rust metal is literally rusting us inside. And this is causing disease and our actual aging as we look at it today. And in fact, when you study the medical literature, there, beyond any shadow of a doubt, we now realize that the root cause of more than 100 of these chronic degenerative diseases, like heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's dementia, arthritis, macular degeneration, multiple sclerosis, stroke, Parkinson's disease, and the list goes on, is the result of this rusting inside or this oxidative stress. So what this led me to realize is that what we are seeing is we now have recognized the root cause for all of these diseases I was treating in my practice. But what a physician realizes is that we actually diagnose these diseases very late in the disease process. The first sign of heart disease, over a third of the time, is sudden death. We diagnose cancers in the very last stages. By the time a patient becomes diabetic, almost all of them have major hardening of the arteries. So what I found is that you and I are not defenseless against this process. You see, antioxidants have the ability to render those free radicals harmless and give them that electron that they need to settle them down. So your natural antioxidant defense system protects your body, just like if you just put a fresh coat of paint that protects your car from rust. But what I learned was balance is the key. If you take away anything from this webinar, the key thing is to understand that you need more antioxidants available than the free radicals you produce. And so I studied the medical literature because I had to determine, is the amount of antioxidants we get from our foods, especially our fruits and vegetables, enough to protect us from this oxidative stress or free radical damage? Because this is what I've been telling my patients for the last 20 years. Well, when you study the medical literature, there is no doubt that we need to be getting many more antioxidants and their supporting nutrients than we can actually get from our food. So I today now recommend that all of my patients take high quality, complete and balanced nutritional supplements and add that to a healthy diet. Yes, we want to eat a healthy diet, not a poor diet. But the other thing is we need to also be having modest exercise, and you combine this triad of healthy lifestyles, which is eating a healthy diet, modest consistent exercise, and taking high quality, complete and balanced nutritional supplements at those optimal or advanced levels, those levels that have been shown to provide a healthy benefit, a health benefit in our medical literature. So this was the medical evidence that actually demanded a verdict for me. And I now believe that all my patients should be taking nutritional supplements and have totally changed my focus of preventive medicine, because now I understand that our own body is the best defense against developing these chronic degenerative diseases, not the drugs I can prescribe. Because as you take these nutritional supplements at these optimal levels, the medical literature shows you actually optimize your body's natural antioxidant defense system. It brings balance back, and you can prevent this oxidative stress. But it also optimizes your body's natural immune system and your natural repair system. So taking nutritional supplements is key for my patients to protect their health or possibly regain their health if they have lost it. The problem, you see, is oxidative stress. It's not a nutritional deficiency. So I want my patients getting all of these antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E, beta carotene. They also need the so-called antioxidant minerals like selenium, magnesium, calcium, all of these to support the work, and the B vitamins. And they work together in synergy. So my goal is to provide this for my patients and actually give them the best chance of protecting their health. Now, when I write my books, like What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine, I have to write generically. In other words, I am there trying to present a health concept. I don't want to say or talk about a specific supplement. The reason is I want people to understand my health concepts and not feel that I'm selling them something. But the problem of practicing nutritional medicine, or the greatest problem I've run into, is my patients will go out and they'll, if I don't direct them, they buy the cheapest nutritional products which do not contain what they say on the label. They may contain toxins. This has all been well established in the literature. It's just not a well-controlled industry. Our FDA here in the United States looks at nutritional supplements as if they're foods. And so there's no quality assurance. So as a physician, I've had to go out and look at what products would be best for my patients. And I have concluded that the Nutrify brand, which is developed by a company called RX, actually produces the highest quality nutritional supplements in the world today. Not only are they high quality, complete and balanced, but they are actually the best products, and I have tremendous results using these products in my practice. But I want to explain what a physician looks at when they start to look at a company, and no matter what company you choose, these are the principles that you want to look at to find quality products. The first is they should be manufactured in an FDA registered facility. In other words, this is not required by nutritional companies. In fact, there's very few that do this. They actually invite in the FDA to look at their manufacturing process, and they register so that what they say is true and that they're manufacturing their products at the highest quality. In other words, we call that pharmaceutical grade manufacturing. They actually go out and purchase raw materials that are pharmaceutical grade and toxin free. But then they manufacture them in a pharmaceutical grade fashion, just like they manufacture a drug. And so that you know that what's on the label is actually in the product. We want them to follow what we call USP standards and guidelines for the development of the capsule or tablet, and that they dissolve and that we can absorb those nutrients. But what I like about RX, which is the best that I have ever found, is that the same manufacturing facility also makes to manufacture those over-the-counter drugs. There is no better quality of manufacturing process. A lot of companies will claim many of these things, but they actually don't do them. And what is very important is that any company you choose will turn their products over to a third party. This is called NSF certification. That they will then, this NSF certification, this third party actually tests the products to make sure that everything they're claiming is true. And that is what RX does. And they're only one of a handful of companies that actually do this throughout the world. So they have put together a Nutrify products, which gives me the opportunity in my medical practice to recommend nutritional supplements that are not only high quality, but are complete in balance and meet the standards that I recommend. And if anybody has read my book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Know, you'll see 2 pages of lists of nutrients that I have found at optimal levels, not RDA levels, that have been shown to provide a health benefit in our medical literature, but I want them all together. Well, my patients get concerned when they see this and say, well, what do I going to have to do? Go out and buy 40 different products and take 40, 50 pills a day? No, because companies like RX have put together in their Optimal V and Optimal M all of these nutrients, which I say states provides cellular nutrition. But they have actually given us other products, which makes my job a lot easier, because I just tell my patients, you take these in the morning with food and these at night with food, and you go on with life. You don't have to become a nutritional nut. But remember, I told you balance is the key. And so RX has put together a product called MOA. This is a drink. It's a juice drink, but it does not just contain one juice like noni juice or just mangosteen juice or just has one type of juice. MOA stands for the mother of all. This is a super nutritional blend, and it contains 33 different fruits, herbs, and mushrooms, and it's all put together, and you have a dynamic, synergistic, potent juice, and I don't have time to go over each and every one and the health benefits you have, but just one of them is it has pomegranate. And pomegranate has been shown in our medical literature to actually help reverse hardening of the arteries. They've actually done studies. That's just one that's in here. Some of the other fruits, you know, are noni is in there, mangosteen, all of them are together. The mushrooms boost your immune system, but they all contain a variety of antioxidants that can work against these free radicals and bring this oxidative stress back under control. And you just can't get this in your diet. In fact, here's a picture showing the developer, the gentleman who developed, the biochemist who developed MOA, along with Deanna Latson, who is our product officer at RX, and I work closely with her in developing all the nutritional products at RX. But this is the amount of food and fruit you would have to take in just to get one dose of the MOA. Well, you can see you can't eat this every day, but we've learned in the medical literature when it comes to chronic degenerative diseases, this is a level you need to get. And we're just not going to get it from our food. So you need to be supplementing a healthy diet. Yes, you want to be eating your 6 to 10 servings of fruits and vegetables each day. You want to eat lean meat and more fish and get in those healthy fats. But you also need to be supplementing. And MOA gives you such an easy way to get this each and every day. And it's a wonderful product. We're just seeing wonderful health benefits throughout the world using this wonderful product. Now, another product that I'm excited about as a physician is the Omega Q. Now, the reason Omega Q is key is the fact that it contains those healthy fish oils, omega-3s that you get from fish, And it also combines it with a very, very important nutrient called omega-Q. So what we find is that when RX developed their fish oil, it is unbeatable quality. And the main reason is that they went out to get a unique source of omega-3 essential fats, which is important in creating those anti-inflammatory products within the body, because our bodies, we just have too much inflammation in our arteries, in our bodies, in our joints. But what they did is they harvested their fish oil from the small fish, including sardines and anchovy. Now, the reason they did that is because the larger fish, like tuna and fishes like that, they contain much more heavy metals because they're on top of the food chain or pyramid. In other words, they eat the smaller fish and they contain much more heavy metals. Well, what happens when you take tuna and these larger fish and you try to clean out those heavy metals and toxins, especially mercury, they have to use what we call solvents, which are a petroleum product. Well, because RX harvests from these smaller fish, they are able to purify without using solvents in their purification process. And they're purified and tested to conform to a rigorous global standard. There's just none out there. In fact, we won't go to another source of our fish oil. But another thing that RX did is they combined CoQ10. CoQ10 is a cofactor that is responsible for the production of over 90% of the energy within the cell. That's why it's called the spark plug of the cell. In other words, this is really critical for just producing energy. But because it's in that area, the furnace of the cell, where a lot of these free radicals are, we know that CoQ10 is also a tremendous antioxidant, so it has that protection. And the other beautiful thing is that, yes, all of our cells need CoQ10, but especially the high energy cells, like our heart muscle, the brain, and our immune system. There is no nutrient that I know of today in the medical literature that shows that actually optimizes your immune system better than CoQ10. I use CoQ10 in my patients who have heart failure, that are struggling with their immune system, having frequent infections, might be dealing or worried about cancer. Those are very, very critical that you get CoQ10. And that is the beauty of taking omega-Q, because you get both. You get both the fish oil and you get the CoQ10. Now, I don't know what it's like in Israel, but in the United States, we are really big in drinking a lot of coffee and taking these power drinks or these caffeine drinks. We've got 8-hour energy, and we've got all of this that we've got in the marketplace. But what happens is these are not healthy for you. In fact, they get so stimulated, we've seen an increase in the United States in our emergency rooms of about 3,000% because of heart rhythm problems. Their hearts start jumping. They start having irregular heartbeats. And this has just become a common problem now due to these energy drinks. So what RX decided to do is make a healthy energy alternative. This is something that you realize that we need something that's healthy. And so they put together a lot of super fruit antioxidants, but then they also give you a natural green coffee bean extract. This actually has health benefits. Yes, it contains caffeine, but it's a natural caffeine, and the green coffee bean has some health benefits, not only for our entire body, but especially the liver. But then they combine it with a natural relaxer, an amino acid called L-theanine. Now, what L-theanine does, it counterbalances so that you, yes, get that increased alertness, your focus and energy, and you have an overall well-being. You take this product and you can tell within an hour that you feel better, you have energy. But the neat thing about Rejuvenex is the fact you don't have the highs and lows. You see, when you stimulate yourself with too much coffee or these energy drinks that contain high caffeine, you get this very, very big high, but eventually you have this tremendous drop and this low. Well, with Rejuvenex, you don't have that. You get all the alertness and focus, but it's balanced because you've got L-theanine, so you don't go too high, and then you don't go down too low. So this is a healthy alternative to those power energy drinks and drinking too much coffee. But the product that I am very excited about that RX has available to you is Restorex. Now, Restorex is what I call a detox center in a bottle. In other words, this combination of zeolite and chlorella, both of which have been shown to remove heavy metals from the body, actually acts as a detox center. And you can do this at home. In my medical practice, what I had to do was I literally had to have my patients go to a detox center hospital and give up 10 to 14 days of their life. It would cost them anywhere from the range of $12,000 to $15,000 US to go there to go through a detox process. But now you can do the same detox at home. And I call this a detox center in the body because you're able to remove both toxins and heavy metals from the body. So why is Restorex such a great product is because zeolite is one of the only natural substances on Earth. It comes from a volcanic ash, and it is what we call a negatively charged substance. Well, we didn't just get any zeolite. What they did is we went to Austria because the zeolite that they have contained 2 patents. It had a patent that had a micronization process that spread out the surface to make it much more effective in attracting those heavy metals and toxins in the GI tract and then carrying them out of the body. But it also has a patent in Europe as a medical device. And so this honeycomb surface allows the zeolite to capture more heavy metals. And the way it works is it actually works strictly in the GI tract. But as zeolite, this negatively charged substance, passes through your bowels, it attracts heavy metals because all the heavy metals have a positive charge, like mercury, cadmium, lead. Those all have a positive charge. So it's like a magnet. It just attracts them and holds on to them and captures them. And the blood supply in the bowel, so it cleanses the blood, it cleanses the bowel that is in from these toxins and holds on to them, and then you eliminate them in your stool. And it is a wonderful product. It also offers some other health benefits in the fact that it actually lowers what we call the pH or acidity of your body. You see, most of our bodies, we're too acid because of the foods and drinks we choose to eat. But we want it to be more alkaline. And so what it does is Restorex allows to take away a lot of those acidic heavy metals and toxins and get them out of the body, and the body becomes more alkaline. And this lowers the pH. But it also allows to heal the GI tract as it removes these toxins and cuts down inflammation in your GI tract, allows you to absorb your foods, your nutrients, the nutritional nutrients better. It improves immune function. And here's a key that I hope you understand. When I talk about balance, In other words, you want to have more free radical, or you want to have more antioxidants on board than the number of free radicals you produce. Well, that can be done in two ways. One is you can take nutritional supplements, as I've recommended, and build up your body's natural antioxidant defense. But another way to bring this back into balance is use Restorex and get these heavy metals and toxins out of your body, because we know in the body they produce many more free radicals than you would naturally have. But because of our pollutants in our air, food, and water that we have to deal with today, our bodies produce more free radicals than any generation that's ever walked the face of this earth. And so this generation, we are under attack more than any generation that's ever walked the face of the earth. So that is why we need to attack this from both sides. One is, yes, build up your body's natural defense systems by taking high-quality nutritional supplements, but also detox and go through a detox process, even if it's a month or two or three, whatever you feel, depending on your exposure, and get rid of those heavy metals and toxins that produce all these excessive free radicals, and you help balance out the body that way. Now, one of the most exciting products that I use in my medical practice is Venali. Venali is a very potent grapeseed extract, and we know now that grapeseed extract is the most potent antioxidant known today. It is actually 50 times more potent than vitamin E and 50 times more potent than vitamin C. It penetrates all throughout the body, and it especially gets into the fluid around the brain, the eyes, and nerves. Well, this allows you to protect those vital organs so much better. Not only is it potent, but it actually can get in and around those much quicker and easier. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is grapeseed extract is also one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatories we know today. And as I mentioned earlier, we just seem to have too much inflammation in our body. And what we find is that grapeseed extract kind of acts like a drug. We call them COX-2 inhibitors, like Celebrex. But it's natural. And it is a key nutrient in settling down all of this inflammation. Well, the other reason I like Venali is it's also a natural anti-allergen. I don't know what it's like in Israel, but in the United States, we are seeing a lot of our children now suffering from asthma and allergies, exertional asthma. They just struggle with this, and it just seems like all of them have trouble. Well, in my medical practice, I am now able to use Venali and grapeseed extract. And within 6 months, and I always tell my parents when their child comes in, if we start in the fall, they're going to be better in the spring. If we start in the spring, they're going to be better in the fall. It just takes time in nutritional medicine to build up the body's natural defenses. But this is what I've seen. And almost all my patients will have improvement if they're suffering from asthma and allergies, even arthritis, anything that you got too much inflammation. And it is wonderful natural anti-allergen. But the reason I like RX's Venali is they went out again to find the absolute best grapeseed extract in the world today. It actually comes from a company in Italy called Indina. Now, Indina has grown a special Chardonnay grape for generations. It's the most potent grapeseed extract. But they not only stop there, they actually test for over 350 different pollutants and toxins before they even send that raw material to RX to manufacture their grapeseed extract. Now, the next best company only checks for around 30. So when I looked at RX as a medical physician, the thing that I liked is there are approximately 150 to 200 different companies around the world that make a grapeseed extract. Most of them are very poor quality. But even the next best company is only about is a half the price of the grapeseed we get from Indina. So it's not just grapeseed extract. You want to be sure you're getting the best, and we get wonderful results. This is the nutrient that I feel helped my wife the best with her chronic fatigue fibromyalgia. And I've helped over 1,000 chronic fatigue fibromyalgia patients using Optimals, Vanali, MOA in improving their health and allowing them to get their health back. But the main reason is it's the best you can get, and that's what I like as a physician. Now, we are struggling in the world today with a lot of patients who are having osteoporosis or thinning of the bone. Their muscles get tight. The rhythm of their heart, we're deplete in both calcium and magnesium. But the problem is, in the United States, this is the one nutrient the doctors are recommending. They're telling their patients, take all the calcium, take calcium to prevent all this. The trouble is that most people are actually supplementing their calcium alone or not in balance. And there was a study that came out of Europe 2 years ago, actually maybe 2.5 years ago now, that showed that if you take calcium supplement that is not balanced and not in the right ratios, that you can double your risk of having a heart attack, because a lot of the calcium that was going to bone is also being deposited in your arteries. That's what this study showed. So when RX and all of the biochemists and Deanna Latson, we looked at developing a calcium magnesium product, we wanted to be sure we didn't manufacture or produce a product that was not going to be safe. So we spent 18 months studying the medical literature so that we could produce a safe and effective product. And so what we found, first of all, is when you supplement calcium, yes, it's important. We need calcium because most of us are deficient in calcium. We need to be, number one, matching that or balancing out the calcium with magnesium. And we find that it needs to be in a 1-to-1 ratio, because we know that magnesium, 80% of the population in the world has a magnesium deficiency. We're just not getting the magnesium that we need from our food. And when we do blood tests, we can only check, it's just not accurate, because 98% of magnesium is in the cell. Only 2% is in the bloodstream that we can check. So I, as a physician, want my patients getting magnesium as well as calcium. But what we found is that if you want to build healthy, good bone, you need both the calcium and magnesium. And the safest way to do this is to have calcium and magnesium that are highly absorbable. That's very key. So we chose the most absorbable calcium and magnesium that we could find. And this was important in the safety. But also, we realized that if you don't have adequate levels of vitamin D3, and vitamin D in the most active form is vitamin D3, you don't absorb any calcium. You need vitamin D to absorb the calcium that you take. So most of us are, again, very depleted in vitamin D3. So we put in 2,000 international units of the most potent and active form of vitamin D, vitamin D3. So over time, you are going to build up your vitamin D levels, because these are not only safe levels, but they're the levels you have to get to. These are the optimal levels in order to even to be able to absorb the vitamin or calcium from your supplements or food. Now, there's another key thing that you have to understand, is that one of the key nutrients that is missing in most calcium magnesium products is vitamin K2. Now, I look at vitamin K2 as the traffic cop. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, vitamin K2 is key in making sure that your calcium supplements are being attracted to the bone and deposited in the bone and not your arteries. Vitamin K2 has this great ability to stimulate an enzyme that attracts the calcium to the bone, but it also stimulates an enzyme in your arteries that actually block the absorption of calcium into your arteries. So it's like a traffic cop, getting the calcium that you take in your diet and in your food to go to the right place. And this is key in making your calcium supplements safe. So Magna-Cal D is very critical in maintaining good, healthy bones, a healthy immune system, getting your magnesium levels back up to normal. Now, I just want to make a point that may be a question. Many people feel we need more calcium, that we need these higher levels of 12 to 1,500 milligrams of calcium. But in this study, it showed we were supplementing too much calcium. So we need to bring about, we're getting about 700 to 800 milligrams of calcium in an average diet, and I'm sure that's true in Israel as it is in the United States. But what we find is that you need to bring down the amount of calcium you're taking in your supplements as you increase the magnesium to this 1-to-1 ratio. Have good vitamin K2 so that we know the calcium's going the right place, and adequate vitamin D3 that you're absorbing it. So it's a wonderful product. Now, I am just going to just briefly talk about how I approach nutritional medicine. You see, I believe in a concept called cellular nutrition. I define cellular nutrition as providing all of these antioxidants, minerals, and B cofactors at their optimal levels together, or those levels that have been shown to provide a health benefit in our medical literature. So I, a little bit older, you want to protect your bones, you're worried about osteoporosis or thinning of the bone, which we call osteopenia, then you might want to add Magna-Cal D. Now, a lot of people are concerned about their heart and hardening the arteries, and they want to cut down inflammation in their arteries. Well, they may decide to add Omega Q. Omega Q not only cuts down the inflammation in your arteries, it's been shown to be very effective in the medical literature in protecting your arteries, but you're also taking that very potent CoQ10, which helps protect your heart and allows your heart to function much better and build up your immune system. But when that keeps things in balance for people who have good health, normal health. But what I find is when I'm practicing nutritional medicine, my patients that come in have already lost their health. They're suffering from one of these chronic degenerative diseases. They might have heart disease, or they might be diabetic. They might have rheumatoid arthritis, or they may have lupus, or asthma, or allergies. So what I do is I recommend all my patients take cellular nutrition, whether their health is good or bad. That's my basic recommendation to all my patients as a healthy lifestyle. And I add that to a healthy diet and to a modest exercise program. But if my patients come in that are already suffering, I know they're having more oxidative stress, or they have more free radical damage, because the medical literature has shown me. And so what I find is that if I have a patient with rheumatoid arthritis, they have many more free radicals, especially in their joints, than someone who has normal health. So I add what I call enhancers. Well, two of the main enhancers I like to use are Vanali, the grapeseed extract, because I told you it's so potent, and I use Restorex to help bring down, those heavy metals and toxins that increase the free radicals. And the reason I do that is because I am trying to bring this oxidative stress back into balance. So I add them to the cellular nutrition. And I have just learned in my medical practice what amount I need for various patients, but I'm not treating a disease. You see, taking nutritional supplements is about health. It's not about disease. As I shared in the beginning, is that you are building up your body's natural defenses, because that is your best defense, your natural antioxidant defense system. your repair system, your immune system, is your best defense against all of these diseases, not the drugs I can prescribe. Now, my book, What Your Doctor Doesn't Know About Nutritional Medicine, is actually been printed and is available in Hebrew. And this book goes through, I share over 35 clinical stories. These are actual patients that I've dealt with and how I've worked with them, and I share my principles in much more detail than I can do on a webinar. And this is available to you in Israel. So if anybody's interested, you certainly can get a copy, and we'll share how you can get that copy there in Israel and read more about it and understand the health concepts that I've tried to present during this seminar. But for those of you who understand English, because this is, trust me, is not in Hebrew, this is my website, just raystrand.com, but it's in English. But if anybody would like to go look at that, I do list generically my recommendations for many different diseases, not as a treatment, but as a chance, and I talk about those healthy lifestyles, how to eat a healthy diet, and things like this. But I just want to say I thank you for the opportunity to be here with you and to share these health concepts. And again, I just share my personal love for Israel, the Jewish community, and I want to thank you for the time you've given me.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Dr. Ray Strand. It was an honor and a privilege to hear from you. It was very informative and helpful, and we thank you very much for your time. תודה רבה גם לכל משתתפי הוובינר. אני מקווה שמצאתם את השידור הזה מעניין ומועיל. כל מה שנותר לי זה באמת לאחל לכולנו עוד הרבה שנים של בריאות מקסימלית, ושנפיץ את הבשורה של הרפואה הטבעית והרפואה התזונתית ברחבי העולם. כפי שהבטחנו בהתחלה, דוקטור סטרנד יענה עכשיו על מספר שאלות, אז מי שיש לו איזושהי שאלה שהוא רוצה להפנות לדוקטור סטרנד, מוזמן לרשום אותה בהערות בצד באנגלית, ומי שלא יכול לכתוב באנגלית, מוזמן לכתוב בעברית, ואנחנו נתרגם לו. אז בבקשה, מי שרוצה לשאול את דוקטור סטרנד שאלה, מוזמן לכתוב את זה בהערות בצד. Dr. Strand, I just told them that if anyone wants to ask you a question, they can write it down on the comments. So we're just gonna give it a minute, see if someone wants to ask a question.
That's
Is
great.
that okay? All right.
That's great. That's great.
חברים, עכשיו זה הזמן לשאול שאלות. אם יש מישהו שרוצה לשאול את דוקטור סטרנד שאלה כלשהי, עכשיו זה הזמן לעשות את זה. אתם מוזמנים להשתמש בתיבה של ההערות, של הקומנטס, שנמצאת מצד ימין למסך. שם אתם בעצם רואים את המצגת, ואתם יכולים לכתוב שאלה. All right. Well, the first question, Dr. Strand.
What I have found, you know, ALS is probably one of the most difficult diseases to treat in any fashion, especially with nutritional supplements. But in my patients with ALS, I use very high dose Vanali, and I'm talking over 8 a day. That's a high dose. I don't do it with anything else. But I add to the cellular nutrition, and then I also like to use some additional CoQ10. And we didn't talk about it today, but when you need extra CoQ10, RX has a great product called BioPro-Q. And that's basically what I do.
All right, thank you very much. The next questions comes from Esther. She would like to know what should be recommended to a person who is suffering from renal failure. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Yeah,
Renal failure.
With renal failure, we are very careful about using supplements, primarily because as they get closer and closer to having to do kidney failure, where they need dialysis, they do not handle minerals very well. So I don't recommend supplements to the patients without their doctor's approval when they're getting close to needing dialysis. But if they have renal failure that's not that, let's say, is moderate, I recommend the MOA and then 3 or 4 Vanillin daily, along with the Omega Q 2 a day. And if their renal failure depends, there's a lot of different causes to renal failure, but many of them actually will see improvement if they haven't lost too much kidney function. If they're really bad, then we have to be careful. But that would be a safe recommendation. I've also used optimals. We didn't talk much about it with these individuals, but that is certainly an indication, or would be a good indication to use them. So that answers that question.
All right, thank you very much. The next question comes from Shachaf, and she's asking, are the supplements safe during pregnancy?
They are not only safe in pregnancy, but they're the absolute best prenatal vitamin you could be taking. I did OB for over 20 years in my medical practice and delivered a lot of babies. And I have found that looking at the medical literature in regards to what supplements you need, it's very important, even if you're thinking about getting pregnant, to go on the optimals, because they contain the good doses of folic acid, and you get magnesium, and you get good vitamin D3, which is all important that you want to be on board before you get pregnant. And then after you get pregnant, we add both the Omega Q 2 a day and 4 Magnecal D. And the reason is magnesium. You want to get your levels up during your pregnancy because that decreases the risk of having what we call toxemia of pregnancy, which is a real critical problem you can get in the late stages of your pregnancy. And so before you get pregnant, I recommend at least the optimals. After you get pregnant, I add 2 Omega Q and 4 the Magnecal D in divided doses. You don't take them all once a day. Take half in the morning with breakfast. We always like to see them taken with food, not on an empty stomach, and taken twice a day. So you do like they direct on the bottle, but that is the absolute best for pregnancy. Now, your doctor is going to be checking your iron levels, especially towards the end of your pregnancy, and since the RX products do not contain any iron, because iron we have too much in our body for the normal person, and so what happens is that if you get pregnant, sometimes you'll need some additional iron because you're using up your iron stores for both you and your baby. So they may add an iron supplement by itself, and that's okay to add to that, but that would be directed by your doctor. But RX Optimals, the Magnecal D, and Omega Q are wonderful prenatal vitamin.
All right, thank you very much. The next question comes from Orna. She's asking what is recommended to give to children who doesn't eat well, healthy children, of course, and are all the products fit to give to kids?
Yes, these products are all safe for children. The only difference is they're smaller people, and so they don't need as much. The beautiful thing with RX that I'm using in my practice is they're capsules. And so in my children who can't swallow pills or capsules. I'm able to open them up and put them in a drink, put them in applesauce, things like that. Now, I base how much I recommend on the size of the child and the age of the child. And I've listed all that. It's just too much to cover. And so what I'll do is I'll send that breakdown to Ariella, and she can spread that message so you have that available to your team so that you know specifically what I recommend for our children. But children really respond to this. They do very well. And my children who suffer then from asthma or allergies or different problems, I add even the Venali and other products in the MagnaCal-D at different times. So I'll send that to you so I can give you the products. Now, probably won't give it to a two-week-old child, but any child over 2 months old can start getting supplements if they'd like, but we really and they're safe. But I break this down and I'll give that to you, and then you can spread the message.
All right, thank you very much. But can you please specify? She's asking what to give to children who doesn't eat well, doesn't have good nutrition. What do you recommend?
Well, I recommend nutritional supplements for all my patients, those that eat good and don't eat poorly. I would just use the same amount. These are so potent, that it's going to cover that child that's not eating well. If I knew the size of the child, if she could write the age and size of the child, I could give her specific recommendations, but I need to know that.
All right, great. Thank you very much. And we're just going to take 2-3 more questions, and that's it. The next question comes from Avi. He's asking regarding Crohn's disease. What are the products that are most recommended that can relieve the symptoms?
Crohn's disease is an autoimmune disease. Your immune system's attacking your bowels, the small bowel especially. And it's a horrible disease, but I have had great success in the United States helping my patients who have Crohn's. In fact, I have good results with almost all autoimmune diseases, But what I recommend are the optimals. This would be someone that's an adult, optimals, and I'd recommend at least 1 to 2 BioPro Q. That's the high potency CoQ10. And I have to go to the high potency CoQ10 in an autoimmune disease. So I recommend that. If it's hard, I would be comfortable with taking Omega Q, which has the CoQ10. So you could take, that would be a choice, either one or the other. But then I add Venali. And Venali, as I said, is a great anti-inflammatory, and it cuts down that inflammation in the GI tract as far as that's concerned. And I would take 2 to 4, depending on how your bowels are doing and how bad your Crohn's is, because there are flare-ups with your disease and it gets better. Now, I think over time, when you're really settled down and you've done well for several months, you could even consider using Restorex, but I wouldn't use Restorex when you're having trouble or having a flare-up, because your GI tract's too sensitive. But over time, and this is a key thing you have to understand, my patients who have any kind of autoimmune disease, like Crohn's or lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, I have found in my medical practice, you've got to wait and give it a try for at least 6 to 7 months to see if you're going to have a positive response. Not everybody responds, but I would say the majority responds. And I want to make it very clear as I talk about these diseases that this is not alternative treatment for your disease. If you're on medication for any of these diseases, you continue taking your medication. Never stop your medication except with your doctor's orders or his blessing because you've improved. Now, I have a lot of patients who start a good aggressive nutritional program that may have rheumatoid arthritis or Crohn's, and they're on a lot of medication, but they start to do so well in 6, 7, 8 months that their doctor actually thinks they can back off their medication. Well, that's a choice between your doctor and you. It's nothing I would ever do because it's not alternative. This is just complementary to your medication. But what happens is there's many people whose health improve enough that your doctor will start to decrease or in some cases eliminate some medications.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question comes from Avivit. She's actually asking two questions. The first one is for people who have diabetes that take insulin, what is the most recommended thing to take? And people that have psoriasis, what do you recommend for them to take?
Well, first of all, let's talk about diabetes. Diabetes is very important that they take good nutritional supplements, and I recommend RX's Optimals. The MOA added to that is wonderful, and 2 Vanali a day. That's what I recommend for my diabetics. It's also, that would be at least my minimal recommendation. Now, adding Magna-Cal D or Omega Q is fine, but here's what's key with diabetics. I've actually written a book in English. It's called Healthy for Life, and it's all about the diabetes obesity epidemic, but it's not in Hebrew. But what you find, it's very key that you eat a healthy diet and you eat those good carbohydrates that won't spike your blood sugar. And so whole foods, the whole fruits and whole vegetables, nuts and legumes are critical. The processed grains are very difficult because they spike your blood sugar. We know now that bread, rice, cereals, even the white potato spike your blood sugar faster than if you're slapping table sugar on your tongue. Well, you need to learn how to eat in such ways you don't spike your blood sugar, and I share that in that book, but it's eating whole foods and avoiding the processed foods and the almighty white potato that we eat here in the United States. The red or new potato is better and all that. And then modest exercise. But you combine those, and my diabetic patients do well, whether they're taking insulin or not. It's just when they start to do this, they need to check their blood sugars a little more frequently because over time, the tendency is their blood sugar is going to get down, and actually sometimes get too low to where the doctor either has to back off the amount of insulin they're taking or the amount of medication they're taking by mouth. So that's what I recommend for diabetics. Now, for psoriasis, I recommend the Optimals, plus you could add MOA, but the key there is the Omega Q, 2 a day, and the Vanali, 2 a day. Vanali, the grapeseed extract, has actually been used in Europe as a treatment for psoriasis because that grapeseed extract penetrates the skin. And in my experience, if people have just mild to moderate psoriasis, they have very good improvement, usually. Now, if they have severe psoriasis, it's always more difficult when their disease is much more severe. But I find for the psoriasis, most of my patients who take good fish oil, take at least the Optimals and the grapeseed and Vanali, they do very well, and over time can see significant improvement in their psoriasis.
Okay, thank you very much for that. The next question, that will be one before the last one, comes from Or. She's 40 years old. She's writing she has an arthritis for the last 15 years. She's asking what is recommended to take if she has changes in the wrists of her hands and feet. She's writing that the iron she's taking is not enough, and she's using steroids.
Well, in arthritis, you continue the medication and what you're doing, but what I recommend would be the Optimals, and again, you can add the MOA, and that would be great, but the other key is You need to be taking omega, and I would take at least 2 per day. Now, the other one I add is Vanillin, and I recommend 2 per day. Optimal's the same. I don't change that. But if they're having more inflammation, and it depends on the time of the year, how much they're doing, sometimes we have, weather changes, we have more trouble. Well, I have my patients learn when they're having trouble, and the 2 of the Vanillin is not helping, they could go to 4 a day for a while. Maybe they only do it for, 1 to 2 weeks, and things settle down and they back off. And I've had my patients do that very effectively. But I find that the 2 a day is a nice stable amount. The fish oil, like I said, it creates the body's own natural anti-inflammatories. But you combine those 2 with the optimals, maybe a little MOA, it can make a difference. Now, over time, you may find that your arthritis gets better and better, and your doctor may be able to back off the steroids. But that's between, again, your doctor and you. It's not something you do on your own. So that's my answer to that question.
Okay, thank you very much. And the last question for today comes from Cindy. She's asking regarding supplements for IBS, colitis, and similar digestive ailments.
Okay, well, first of all, let's talk about the problem. IBS is an irritable bowel syndrome, and of course, inflammation of the colon. So what I recommend is starting out with what we call an elimination diet. Now, let me explain that. We find as we get older, certain foods we don't tolerate anymore. And the 3 key ones are dairy, soy, and gluten. And so what I do with my patients when they come in is I get them off dairy, soy, and gluten for a month, for 4 weeks. So they eliminate all of them. Then what I do is that I then add it back, because food allergies or reactions to food are very hard to pick up, and this is about the only way you can do it. And so what they do is they avoid them for a month, and then they'll start and add just 1 back at a time, and they challenge. So let's say the first one they add back is dairy. They go out and have milk or a malt or ice cream, something with a lot of dairy, and see how they do. And they do that for about 3 days. And if they don't have any trouble, or they don't increase their irritable bowel or their colitis, they'll find, oh, I don't have any trouble with dairy. That's fine. Then they may add soy. They might have tofu or eat some soy products to see if they react to soy. And after that, then they add back gluten, which is primarily in your grains, wheat bread and stuff like that. And they go out, maybe have pizza or a lot of bread and see if they react. But you only add 1 food back every 3 to 5 days. Now, a lot of my patients can't tell much when they eliminate the food. They say, I can't tell much different. But trust me, when you add it back and you've avoided those foods, it becomes very obvious. It's not hard to figure out what you're reacting to. So that's the first thing you do. After you've done that, then one of the keys, and you settle down, I like Restorex. And Restorex is something you would do for a month or 2 to try to heal the bowel, because you got too much inflammation. And a lot of my patients with irritable bowel or colitis, after they know they can tolerate 1 dose of Restorex, sometimes will even add 2 doses, 1 in the morning, 1 at night. And again, like I said, it cuts down the inflammation in the GI tract. It causes healing, gets rid of a lot of those toxins, and I've had my patients do well with that. Now, nutritionally, what I like are RX's MOA and maybe the optimals, but then add omega Q 2 a day and 2 Vanillin is what I would recommend. And see how you do with that. And that's would be, but it's really important. If you're allergic to gluten and it's causing this, it doesn't matter what I add nutritionally, it's not going to help you. So you got to find out first what foods you might be reacting to. And if so, then you have to avoid them, and that'll improve. But then adding Restorex as a healing time for a month or two, and then the nutritionals you'll tolerate and do better, but long term, that's what I would do in this situation.
Okay, thank you very much. And actually, we have a very special request that she's really asking for us to ask that question. So we're just going to ask one more, if that's okay with you.
Oh, that's fine.
All right, thank you. So the last question comes from Juliana. She's asking, is there any solution for short gut or column, I'm not sure how to say that, that were cut to 1.7 centimeters, less than 2 meters, from a complication of the appendicitis?
So my feeling is anytime you take out some bowel, whether it's a colon or small bowel, I think that's what she's asking, you have a shortened GI tract, and you can get trouble with diarrhea. We call it in the United States dumping syndrome, and they can have all this problem. What I usually have my patients is they always worry about, are they absorbing their nutrients? Are they getting in the right foods and all this? The key to remember is the fact that almost all of your nutrients are absorbed in the small bowel. And I'm sure she has some, they haven't taken out all her small bowel. They usually, because of appendicitis, they have to take out some, but they don't take it all out. And the neat thing about the RX nutritionals is the fact that they're capsule form, and when we study how quickly they're absorbed, because we do this in the lab, we have to, for our certification in USP, we know that our capsules dissolve within 30 to 45 seconds. And that is key, because then the nutrient is available as soon as it enters the GI tract to be absorbed. And so we don't have trouble absorbing the RX. Now, MOA would be a very good solution for her because it's already liquid. And so for her to take MOA, and then also, she could consider the Omega Q and 2-Venali, that would be fine. She may find she likes to add the optimals, and I even have patients. We have drinks. RX has a drink. We didn't talk about it, but it's called Pure Nourish, which is one I helped develop for my diabetics and people as a meal and snack replacement, but it has no soy or dairy or gluten, and it has digestive enzymes and probiotics. And many of my patients, when they take that drink, and they actually open up the capsules if they have an absorption problem, and put it in the drink and blend it in and mix a little frozen or fresh fruit, and they just take it down, and that actually can work fine. That's just another suggestion. The only precaution I would give you is that magnesium can cause diarrhea, and calcium can actually cause constipation. And therefore, even though we have not had any trouble with MagnaCal D in that, one has to remember that the magnesium can cause loose stools, and so if they start to take MagnaCal D, they may know, gee, I'm getting loose stools. It might be just a little too much magnesium compared to the calcium, especially in this situation where you're missing some of your small bowel or colon. But other than that, they tolerate it well. You're going to absorb your nutrients, and the MOA would be wonderful in this situation. Adding Omega Q and Venali would also be good. I think they would feel better, and over time, they do well. So I think that would be my recommendations for that situation.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much, Dr. Strand, for your time. I'm sure it was very helpful and very informative for a lot of people. It is a great honor and privilege to have you here, and we truly appreciate that. So, thank you very much. We are looking forward to make any other collaboration with you in the future.
Well, that sounds good, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Strand. אוקיי, ושוב תודה רבה לכל מי שלקח חלק בשידור המאוד מיוחד הזה. אני מקווה מאוד שמצאתם את השידור הזה גם מועיל וגם מעניין, אני בהחלט מצאתי אותו ככזה. שיהיה ערב נפלא לכולנו, סוף שבוע נפלא והרבה בריאות. תודה רבה ולהתראות.